We humans love to imagine. We love to think about imaginary things. And who else love to imagine and implement things? Scientists, philosophers, researchers, and writers. For them, we have came across to know many imaginary things, and one of this imaginary discovery was time machine. From sci-fi movies to different journals, we get to know about time machine and time travel. But have you ever wondered how this time machine and time travel works? Time travel is a concept of movement between certain points in time, analogous to movement between different points in space by an object or a person, typically with the use of an hypothetical device known as time machine. Seeing the future. In these stories, it is actually information that travels through time, and this might be the most scientifically possible form of time travel, one that is already happening all the time on the quantum level. Visions of the future have shown up in literature and mythologies for millennia. It's just that we have used to call them prophecy, but the fundamental storytelling device has changed little, even as it evolved with the time, manifesting in various communication technologies. Characters connect to future through newspapers, letters, radio, photography, and now the internet. Stories of inevitable foresight. These are stories where the future can be seen, but ultimately what you see can't be stopped. Stories of preventable foresight. Other stories of seeing the future treat altering the timeline as quite evitable. In fact, the very act of viewing what's ahead empowers the individual to change things and prevent the foreseen events from coming to pass. Traveling to the future. One of the clearest progenitors of time travel narrative, H.G. Wells, The Time Machine is about a man zipping off into the distant future. But the world he encounters, one full of peaceful Elois and belligerent Murlocs, is so disconnected from our own. It's hard to know why it's not simply a story about aliens or another planet. This points to a problem with time travel forward. The future feels so unknowable, it often ends up being less interesting than we expected. That's why some time travel into future stories make our present the future of a characters like The Time After Time, which features Jack the Ripper featuring 1890s London and winding up in 1970s San Francisco. But this plot device is really not different from the fish out of water Rip Van Winkle premise dressed up with technology. Perhaps this is why travel into the future has perhaps been used most effectively as a last-minute twist ending. In other words, time travel into the future is just not that special, maybe because we're doing it all the time, at a consistent rate of 60 minutes per hour. And given that our own lifetimes have witnessed such as seismic changes in technology and society, do we really need to imagine a cosmic leap forward to see things that will blow our minds? That's why the most interesting physical time travel stories have focused on traveling to the past. Some of these stories are just touristy jaunts that don't bother with the ramification of intervening in history, which is fine and well, but more interesting are stories that grapple with the question, can we alter the past? And by implication, can we alter our own present? Which breaks the category down into two distinct groups. Changing history. Perhaps the most intuitive mode of time travel is where characters travel to the past, and in doing so alter the present they left behind. Back to the Future is probably the most popular of all. It's fun to meet your teenage parents, but if you mess things up, you risk erasing yourself from existence. Beyond just keeping your parents married and yourself in the family portrait, what people dream of is using time travel to fix history. All of which points to the fact that on some profound level, as much as our own minds love playing with the possibilities of altering the timeline, time loop. Which brings us to the final category, the pinnacle of unalterability. Stories where a character is stuck reliving the same day again and again. The prototype here is the 1993 comedy Groundhog Day. The formula it sets out brilliantly has been replicated in other genres, including but not limited to YA melodrama. These films don't merely share a high concept, they all have essentially the same theme: life does not change until you change, which would seem to make them remarkably unoriginal, if not for the surprising fact that they are all good. Of course, this is only a partial taxonomy of time travel, but even this incomplete categories points to a few key takeaways. Most time travel stories are cautionary tales. Attempting to meddle the history is punished.